Hey, hello guys. This is Shourav.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
welcome to the session. Thanks a lot for joining with me today, and hope you are having a great time at home. Lot of disruption happening because of this coronavirus thing, and everyone is adjusting. You, me, everyone, even the organizations. So lot of stuff happening. So I just thought to meet with you guys and discuss some things that just kind of a informal discussion where we can go through some of the things that we might want to know going forward, coming from academia to, let's say, industry, or even for going for a PhD. Some of the topics, some of the things that we might want to know about. So yeah, so let's start. So firstly, now two kind of things I'll be talking about. So initial is the importance of some online presence and a personal branding, and its effect on your career. So when you say online presence or personal branding, the first one thing, guys, the people who are not talking, can you just mute yourself? And whenever you'll be talking, just unmute yourself and go talk. And in that way, there'll be no background noise. Thanks. Yeah. So basically, when you say about personal branding, the major thing that comes into mind is whenever someone searches your name on Google, what would they find out? So nowadays, because of everything is getting online, especially because of the coronavirus thing. But even other than that, nowadays most of the in anything, anyone you search about, anything you want to know about, you just go online and search it. So if you think of from the opposite end of the hiring or even admission into PhD spectrum, let's say if I am a hiring manager, if I want to source candidates, you guys are applying for jobs, and we are also like hiring managers, they are also searching for candidates. So they'll obviously be going to Google and search for, let's say if I want to hire a statistician, I will be searching statistician in Bangalore having these specific skill set, let's say Python or R or these kind of things. So if you can build a vehicle, a profile online by which people can reach you, people can find about you, and people can actually reach out to you, that's really helpful. And this is the thing. And definitely this kind of building a profile, building a decent kind of following, it takes some time. It doesn't happen in a few months, or sometimes it might take even a few years. So I think because you guys are going into more professional scenario right now, this is a great time to start about this. So yeah, so before starting any further, anyone wants to talk anything about online branding, personal branding, your experiences with posting, please go on. I'll give a few minutes to you guys. Anything, any experience building any social profile, that may not be LinkedIn, maybe even like Facebook, Twitter, any blog post you have shared, anything you want to share. I'll give a few minutes. Please go on. Okay, sure. So I think people are shy. So yeah, let's start with this point first. So whenever you want to post something, or you want to talk in a public place, or let's say give a speech, or even in a classroom, if you want to go on, stop the teacher and say something, there's this thing that works between us. What if like someone laughs at me? I shouldn't go first. What if after starting I don't have anything, I don't know what to say, I stumble. And what if I get embarrassed, matlab log kya kahenge? So this is the thing also that happens in online, any kind of posting also. Like, so I've seen people written, like for example, one of my a person I know, she wrote an article on this meditation. So some like maybe some 12 13 page article. So she put a lot of good stuff, but then before publishing, she's having that kind of dilemma that if I post it, and what if someone doesn't like it? What if they think they have some kind of artificial uh, figure about me in their mind? What if I get embarrassed? So the answer to these things are, no one cares. Everyone is busy with their own lives. They have a lot of hundreds of things to worry about. And nowadays, for the lockdown, it's the situation is very much worse. So don't think about these things too much. And even if someone laughs at you, it's okay. They're laughing, right? So you are doing something good. So nothing wrong. As long as you are not spreading hate, you are good to go. So the first and foremost thing is just start posting anything, whatever you know. May not be technical, may be technical. That doesn't matter. And don't think that I'm not an expert, so what should I share and how did it happen. It's not like that. Everyone has some own perspective. Whatever you put out there, that doesn't have to be really unique. That's not the case. But definitely you have your own perspective, you have your own experiences, so try to relate to that. So for example, let's say if you search about, like someone searches about p value online, there are hundreds of articles on p value, but maybe you know of some specific example which no one else knows, or maybe you can explain it in such a way that might be suitable to someone like no one else. So as everyone has seen, there, even if there are hundreds of new things, some newly unique way of explaining comes up, and they definitely get famous. So people are still joining. Cool. Let me admit them. Yeah. So the beauty in that is, even if, so just think of the movies. We see the same plot in multiple movies, but let's say love story, the same plot, or even in thriller, the same plot in all these movies, but still people watch them because this kind of, the idea might be similar, but the implementation, the way you present it, that actually changes, and that's what makes you unique. So that's a very important thing, that you have to add your own personality. So even if you take inspiration from other people, don't copy them blindly, add your own insights. And this is the most important thing. Second, so just start putting yourself online and don't think about too much. And if you, let's say in hurry you put something wrong, some wrong kind of information, someone will correct you. Just thank them, don't get embarrassed. Just thank them, yeah, thanks for correcting the information, that's it. And no one is going to kill you and shot you in the head. So this kind of things isn't happening. So yeah. Second very important thing is have an opinion. This is very important. If you don't have a personal opinion, if you are just analyzing and giving a brief overview like a consultancy kind of service, then people don't like it. So have something to say, have an opinion, and say it very clearly. But definitely be open for to criticisms, because not everyone will like whatever you are saying, and that's okay. They have their own opinion, and like everyone deserves their own standpoint. So yeah. So anyone wants to share anything up to this point, like any kind of online experiences, anything you shared and you got some hate speech, or any comments on that? Again, I'm giving try to speak up. These kind of things actually matter. Yeah. Anyone? Okay. I think we have to push people to talk a little bit more. So how is lockdown going on? Let's start. Arijit, hey, how is lockdown going on?
Yeah, Nandita,
Hey, Tovik.
some more people are joining also.
Okay.
They are arriving late.
Yeah. Let me admit them. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, Susmita. Yeah, please be a little bit loud so the others can also hear you.
Didn't heard the last 5 minutes. What were you saying?
Yeah. So
I haven't heard the last 10 minutes.
yeah, so
it got mute or
just to give you a recap, I was saying that it's very important to put yourselves out there, to make whatever is there running around all in your head all day, just take some of them, summarize, give it a structured form, and put yourself out there. LinkedIn, Medium, Quora, anywhere. And it's not like that because you are in statistics you have to put something in data science only. You can put anything, like you can talk about mental health, you can talk about design, anything you're passionate about, even music or anything like relationship advice, anything you're good at, just go on. And only thing it has to be there is just make it interesting, like don't make it boring, have some fun element and make it human. Don't go into like not Doordarshan, so but rather some even like Sambit Patra, this kind of things are also okay, but not boring. You have to be, yeah. I don't go to calamity level, but then, yeah, like some
I'm
balance
बोलते अच्छे लोग.
should be, yeah, some balance should be there. Otherwise, you'll, yeah, like that you have to think out. So talking about this point, whenever you will be getting assigned to a good organization, then other thing you also have to keep in mind that you have to be careful. Whatever you are putting out there shouldn't be contradictory to any policy. So for example, if your firm is let's say defining any kind of policy towards any kind of group or social strata, you shouldn't, like, your statements shouldn't be directly in conjunction and against this kind of policies. So just keep that in mind. This thing doesn't matter that much unless you are getting some like millions of views, which none of us are getting. But still, it's good to keep that in mind. Like sometimes what happens is that, so recently there was an incident. So in US, there was a woman. There was a guy. So there was a black guy, and so the woman, she was actually in a park with a dog, and basically what happened is that he requested her to get the dog in control, but she didn't think that it would be a good idea, but she just protested against it, and she called the police, and that guy recorded the conversation and posted online. So there was a lot of backlash, and she got fired actually after that. So anytime there's a kind of a controversy happening, that could cause you serious real life harm. So you have to keep that in mind, even in jobs, even in PhDs also. So whenever you are putting something online, just have that, like, you don't have to think about that too much, but just have that in mind. Is there a possibility that this would affect your career? So this is something, just a disclaimer. But other than that, you should go on, and definitely you shouldn't write about anything confidential, and that you shouldn't be allowed, or you shouldn't be able to talk openly. But other than that, definitely these kind of things you guys should think about from now. This is the first thing. Secondly, about talking about skill development and data science and these type of skills. So, and also learning programming and learning how to talk, and this kind of presentation skill is very important whenever you go, wherever you go. Whatever you are doing, if you don't have the ability to present it clearly towards the audience, then it's very difficult. So even, for example, in jobs also, if you are building some really cool models, and I know that it's going to change the kind of the efficiency, the organization structure, but if we can't communicate that back to the leadership level, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. So that's very important. Like whatever you are doing, you have to be able to put it out there clearly, precisely, and probably even better in some interesting way, so that you can appeal to the emotions of the people, you can relate to them. So yeah, this is something. And connected to that is one thing is that this design skill, try to have some kind of idea of how this, like how to make a flyer, how to make a presentation, how to make it attractive. And sometimes what we do in design,
Flyer.
yeah, Shushmita saying
Flyer.
something.
What do you mean by flyer?
Sorry, yeah, flyer, yeah, sure.
What do you
Flyer means basically if there
What
is
do
an
you mean
event,
by flyer?
yeah, if there is an event, there is like a person is there, so resume workshop, event name, the person's logo, the company's thing, this is the venue, some description. So any kind of ad kind of thing that you see,
Kind of like a poster.
exactly.
Pamphlet.
Yeah, so this is very important, because anytime you are going to make a presentation, this kind of design skills will come into play. And some points around that is, don't overfit things. So sometimes even I did that. So there are like lots of colors and lots of designs, just put everything together. That's a bad idea. If you go to any good softwares, like for example, take any good software like Zoom or Adobe Photoshop, or any Adobe Reader, or any kind of software like that, those are not very clunky, very like full of features, not like that, but they are clean, very clear kind of things. So these are very important things. So try to read about this kind of stuff other than statistics. This is one skill. Next skill is sales and marketing skill. So in terms of that, if you're in a job, if you're doing something, you have to make sure that that is being presented in the leadership level. Similarly, if you are doing a PhD, if you are doing some research work, sometimes what happens is that you are not in touch with the other research groups. You are only stuck in your own lab under your own professor, and you don't know what's happening out there in the community. So that's a bad idea. Try to read about the other type of works happening in research in other research groups, and how you can collaborate, and how you can learn from them, how you can teach them. Go to conferences. So that's a good idea. And try to have a long-term plan. For example, even if you are doing PhD, but if you want to go into industry 4-5 years later, you have to keep an eye on what's happening outside in the industry. Hey Anmol, nice background. Cool. So yeah, that's so everyone is in home, so I think it's good to see all of our faces. And anytime anyone has any question, just feel free to stop me after
Yeah,
Right.
that.
so I have a question regarding the
Yeah.
online presence that you are saying.
Hmm.
One of the things that I have searched recently for making this online presence better is to make a personal website, so that if anyone searches my name on Google, that website, that name of my website comes at first, and then they can see everything about me in that website.
Yeah,
So
that's a
so my question is that what are the things I should, uh, what will be the content of my website,
sure.
so that my website is mainly focused on the professional part of it. It
Yeah.
means my a professional kind of website, but that's only dedicated for me, so
Okay.
that my recruiters can get a good idea of my
Excellent. Yeah,
capabilities and
yeah,
skills.
sure. Excellent question. That's
So
a
what are the
that's a very relevant question, and I think everyone should have a website. So from before building a
Do
website,
you
you have
have
to
a website?
yeah, please.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website, but not hosted in my own name. So I have a website like about.me, Saurabh.nandi, like that. So about.me is a site, about.me, where you can go
Okay.
and make a free website where you can show other people what have you been doing, and what's going on with your, like, if you have some 7-8 social profiles, you can just link everything from one place. So what I have done is basically I have focused on, so first thing is there's a thing called search engine optimization. If someone searches your name on Google, what would come up? So you can do an experiment yourself. You can go into the incognito mode in the browser, and you can search your own name and see what comes up. So what incognito mode does is that it doesn't get, the results doesn't get affected by your history. So that will give you an unbiased thing. So basically what happens, as I've seen, the sites like Quora, LinkedIn, they rank higher than sites like Facebook. But for you, it might be different, because maybe in your Facebook, you might have a lot of content, but your Quora might be empty. So in that case, try to make a few good professional websites like Quora. You just go there, answer some questions, and not about cats versus dogs or Kariminati versus Kunan Kamra or anything like that, but a little bit more serious content. And so the main idea is that whenever someone searches you, there are some target keywords you want to rank for that. So just keep that in mind, that I am let's say you are interested in e-commerce. So you are interested in e-commerce and you have a data science skills. So the combination is, how is data science being used in e-commerce? So if you can write some answers on that, that would be wonderful. And there is a chance that a recruiter who is searching online for these candidates, they will get these Quora answers, these LinkedIn answers at first. After that, they will get the other things. This is first thing. Second thing is, after you have all these channels, you can make a clear website and link to us all these things. So what I had done is, in the website, just a brief intro that hi, I am Saurabh, I am coming from this background, I am passionate about these things, and you can read about the things I have done here. For this, you can do that. You can reach me by this email ID, and if you want to book a calendar, just this is my Calendly link. So whatever is there in a clear format, I put it out there. But then it's even better to have a hosted website. I have not yet built that, but I am in the process of that. But for that, mostly there will be some fees. So some 1,000, 2,000 yearly fees will be there. So yeah, that may not be suitable right now for you guys, but once you start earning, have some pocket money, that's a definitely good idea, and that's a excellent long-term investment, because nowadays everything is going online and it will be much more coming up online and online. So that's a no-brainer. You definitely should have a website. And I think what IITK should do is they should give us some hosting for a little amount of charge. Right now it's not there. Earlier I tried to find out. Thanks a lot, Susmita Pritam, for like finding out these things. So the point is that it would be, hey, Ovi is joining. Let me admit Ovi. Yeah, later on I'll try to find out about pre-admitting things. These things I'm not also that much familiar with. Who is a Zoomer, who is a pro Zoomer, like knows a lot of things about Zoom. Who is the guy here? He or she has to teach me. Okay. So, hey, Ovi. Sorry, we took some time to admit you. Yeah. So what I was saying, I lost my track. Yeah. So regarding the website, and after building a website, it's a great idea to put some content out there and link to them. And if you are sharing some things, so for example, recently I collaborated with my junior Himadri, and we tried to put some formulas around statistics and mathematics in GitHub. So GitHub is basically a coding site. Git is version control. So whenever you make different versions of a software, you just keep track of them so that that doesn't get lost, or if there is something wrong, you can go back to the previous version. So GitHub is not a place for hosting notes, but I did use that for hosting notes, and it worked really well. So you can think of these creative ideas, how to use these free resources, and how you can have a portfolio of everything online. So the major thing is that whenever someone, even in resume or even in online profiles, whenever someone is going to search you, they will be just looking at the first few things. They will not be going through all these things. Even when we search something on Google, we just see the first few results. We don't go to the third, fourth, fifth page, even if there are thousands of pages. This is the main thing. Have a little number of high quality things. You don't have to have 100 blogs with very low quality. It's much better to have some 5-6 articles of really good quality. So quality over quantity, at least for now. After you build some good amount of following, then you can say that no, now like kuch bhi chalega thoda bahut. So that's okay. But for the start, quality matters a lot. Yeah. So Shovik, I think that answers your question. If anyone wants to discuss anything else, please go on. And or I can start with the other topics.
Nandita, hi.
Yeah. Hey.
So, no, I just wanted to know, like, if I don't have a LinkedIn account yet. So, if I'm planning to build one, what are the key things that I have to remember before, like,
Sure.
while making one?
Yeah. So first thing is just make a complete profile. So see all these things like photo, about section, experiences, education. Then there come skills, and also there are some other things, some like email IDs and these websites and portfolio, all these things. So just have a all-star. It is called all-star account when you fill out everything. So just start with that. That is the basic thing. Then comes out connecting with people. So initially, when you don't have a good number of connection network, just send connection requests, and it's better to go through the profiles who are already a little bit active. So for example, I am active on LinkedIn, and in any other, let's say some people would be active on Quora. So just go to their profile and just see what they're doing, how they're putting it out. Don't copy that exactly, but you can have some inspiration. Then tweak it according to your own way. That's definitely. But another thing is that so for example, my friend list is public to all, so anyone can go and see what the people. So probably the people, me or some senior who have been in IITK statistics, our network will be somewhat relevant to you rather than someone, let's say, who is a sales manager in some places. So you can already, like, rather than just randomly searching on LinkedIn, and there's a limitation to search also. Like you can't search in number of things. There will be some limitation. Like there's a in the free account, if you don't have a premium account, after some few hundred searches for that month, you won't be able to search anymore. So it's not always recommended to go into search, but to go into other people's network and see who else they are connected with, who else they are getting endorsed by, and these kind of things. But the major part comes after that. That is to engage with other people's content. So most time what I do is that if you like a post, we just put a like and that's it. Or let's say we write a comment, thank you. But it's much better to write a meaningful comment, to add something of value. Let's say if a recruiter has posted a job search and you are not actually interested in that particular job, but you know some friend of yours who might be interested in that job. So if you can tag him or her in the post, then that's a value addition. If you see, if you have some very unique kind of information that no one else knows about, if you share that with the people, then that's a value addition. And when you show up consistently, when you add this kind of posts, people will start to notice you. So I will say start with this kind of thing a little bit. Let's try to interact with people's posts initially. Then after you have done this a little bit, you have a few hundred connections, then start posting. Otherwise, if you start posting at first, you will get like no views in any platform. That's natural. Like in Facebook is a bit different because you already have a social network which is actually accepting you to Facebook. But LinkedIn doesn't work in that way. And another thing I would like to say is that doesn't like views, number of followers, these things doesn't matter at all. Like what do you do with thousands of views if that doesn't that is not turning out to anything valuable? So that doesn't matter. Always focus on quality and keep on posting. And continuing to that, so for example, when I did this off-campus job search thing, not all, like 70% of the relevant opportunities were inbound. Inbound as in people were reaching out to me that would you be interested in this. I also put out hundreds of applications, but those were not that successful. Those were mostly 90% of times I didn't even hear back. So this is the thing. If there is something inbound, if someone is already convinced that you are putting out good content, you know your stuff, then that's much more powerful than you are putting yourself out like application, things like that. And there is a large number of job postings which never get posted online. This is a very important thing. A large number of job postings never get posted online. They are done through either referrals or this kind of sourcings. But coming into this kind of off-campus job search, one thing is that though most of you have been placed, try to have the skill set ready, because nowadays the situation is very pathetic. The job market is very pathetic. We don't know what will happen. I don't know when I would be laid off. So just have all the skill set ready. Try to learn about data science. Try to learn about programming language like Python or R. And some people waste a lot of time on technologies like Python or R. These versus these versus that. Don't do that. Stick to one and learn that very properly. But try to have an idea of others also. So for example, right now Python is going a little bit, you can say because of the scalability things, Python is a bit more popular. But even if you like R, it's fine. Just learn R very carefully and try to have some understanding of Python, and vice versa. If you are good in Python, try to have some understanding of R. And definitely don't try to memorize the codes. It doesn't make sense. Just have an understanding of the algorithms. And coming to data science, have some brief idea of different algorithms. Like starting from regression, there is like.
What about SQL?
Yeah, SQL is very important. Yeah, Sufina, go on.
So my company was very much concerned about me learning SQL. So and whatever we have learned in our BSc, so that was not enough.
Sure.
So any resources for that?
Sure. So yeah, there are some resources. I'll send out the resources later, so not to worry about that. But in general, see, whenever we are doing some academic projects, we are just taking some data set from internet, and then everything clean and everything is good. We are running models and like we're taking a few days to make the PPT, and that's it. But in industry, the most important part where 60-70% time will go is the data collection, data cleaning, and processing the data. For example, I am working in a healthcare company. We have some hundreds of different tables, and we have to properly organize the data in a way that it's scalable, it's robust, and something doesn't break downstream. So SQL is very important, because when you don't have any that kind of very clean data structure, it's insanely, it's really important to understand what is the different. So if you have 3-4 tables, what is the relation between them, which things are common, which table, which you can say this kind of keys, things are there, primary key, foreign key, these kind of ideas you have to have. This is one thing. And second thing is, if you have a good idea of the structure that is happening in the data, you'll also have a clear idea how to go on building the models, what to do whenever you are putting a model into the production, into the pipeline, then it's very important that in future, if there are some tweaks, there's some changes, if the table name changes, if the data source changes, if the structure itself gets dissolved, then still even in that case, your whatever you are doing, that should be still be working fine. So this is the very important thing. And Shushmita, definitely SQL is a thing to learn, and everyone, even so, sometimes some people ask me that I am not interested in industry, I'm interested in research, should I learn SQL? Yeah, definitely it might not be that relevant in your case, but try to have some idea. Like having some idea, it takes only some 3-4-5 hours. You should invest that kind of time.
So
Because,
can you suggest some resources regarding SQL?
Yeah, so there are some really good websites. I'll send you in the link, and there are some like some cheat sheets, and I personally shared some with some of you, but I'll put everything together, and I'll definitely share that with you. And there are some already.
I have the basic knowledge.
Yeah, sure. So yeah.
So I have the basic knowledge, but what about like?
Yeah. So
company will expect more.
Yeah. How databases work? What is the difference between the, like? So for example, what is the difference between a structured database and an unstructured database? What are data lakes? How these things work? What is the difference between our data and, let's say, so for example, when you are doing deep learning, you might have some documents, thousands of documents, not a tabular format. That's also very common. Or let's say if you are you're building some chatbots, users are giving feedback. Those are also data, text document. So everything is there, not only SQL, but NoSQL. NoSQL means not only SQL. So this kind of structures are also there. You don't have to learn everything. You can learn everything, like you can pick up skills on the go, but have some idea. And the most important thing is to communicate properly. So even if you don't, yeah, I think, there are some connectivity issues. Okay, sorry for that. So as I was saying, even if you, so again I have to admit some people. Yeah, let me admit everyone. This internet and this kind of issues are, yeah. So what I was saying, even if you don't, so this happens in interviews also. You are asked about something, maybe you don't know the exact thing, just tell them I don't know, but don't stop there. Try to understand what the problem, what the underlying issue is, and try to solve the things in the way you know of. So using your known toolkits. So that's a very important thing. And even in the industry, when you will go, you'll be assigned to teams. In PhD also, the your guide will ask you like, why don't you know this? You should have known. You are coming from IIT. So this kind of brand actually, it's a good thing, but people also expect things from you, that you'll pick up things quickly, you'll learn, and you'll be independent. You won't ask too many questions like, where should we learn from, how to do that. They will expect you to pick up. So this is something. And so in terms of that, something that I want to tell you, that the most important, the most positive asset that we have is the youth, is the energy. And anyway, wherever you join, the firms will teach you the ways. The way industry works is a lot different from academia. So the skill set you will learn from the place, but always have an open mind. Go talk to people. Don't be stuck at your own team or your own research group. Go out there, go talk to people, organize sessions, like proactively learn what is happening inside your firm as well as in the industry. Interact with people, go talk to the like in any meeting, if you're given a chance to talk, go talk, be the first one to ask the question. That's an excellent thing. And it's a bit awkward at first that yeah, why should I be the first one, what if I get embarrassed, but just start doing that. It's really wonderful. People will start noticing you. And yeah, so having this kind of online presence is kind of a insurance to your career. So if something happens, like if there's a let's say job loss, and there could be, even it could be that you don't like your job that much, you want to change. If you have, so this as you are going to have this IIT tag, this is also kind of an insurance. An IIT tag is a very strong insurance. Try to keep that into mind and go take some risks. Try to like if you have planning to build some stuff, go do that. And yeah, definitely that's a really good idea. So this is something. Secondly, it's coming to a portfolio, as in if you are writing some data, if you have some good idea of some data science articles, or if you have some good project of any app idea in mind, try to build that, try to push that. Now that open source is there, you can go through the any popular TensorFlow or this kind of code bases, and you can just start tweaking them. And if you see that there is something that could be improved, just make a pull request, make the changes, push it. And yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Sometimes we think that what if we are not that good at coding? It's not like that. Like people are, so every one of us are like doing Google searches all day. You have to have the idea in mind. We're not actually memorizing the stuff. So yeah, just go out there, build something, and try to, yeah, there are a lot of problems out there which could be solved using data science. It could be optimized. We can use this kind of statistical expertise in changing the supply chains, in helping India improve. So yeah, just think about that. If there is anything you can improve, you can help using your expertise. Yeah, sure. So yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, so I had another question that I posted on the form, that how much does a PhD degree does affect our industry career?
Sure.
Or does a PhD degree is really that important as one says, if I want to come back to industry and not academia?
Yeah, sure. That's an excellent question. And I think whoever is going for PhD should definitely try to be in touch with what's happening in industry a little bit, because nowadays I see a trend of academia changing, shifting, and trying to, so nowadays it's like a closed group, and there's a lot of focus on publishing, not a lot of focus on checking if whatever you publish that's actually implemented or not. Because nowadays there's a lot of funding from the government, and nowadays it works in that way. But in coming years, there's a very high possibility that you'll be checked on the basis of not only your research quality, but how well you can communicate that back to the overall audience, and how is it possible to make it use in a research scenario. So coming back to your question, 2-3 things. First thing is that try to understand what's going on in industry, what are the new technologies. This is very important, extremely important. Secondly, whatever research you are doing, try to at least try to see if that is actually relevant in industry or not. So if you want to come back in industry, but you are working on some abstract thing that won't be needed, then it's very difficult to start. But even in that
you're
case,
saying about 4 parts of statistics that's not relevant or in the
not relevant in the sense that maybe these are not being used nowadays, but if you can propose a novel algorithm based on that which could be used, then it's okay. But if something is already discarded because that was so for example, lot of statistical methods are based on, so our definition of large sample was n greater than 30, and now we have n greater than 30 million. So some methods just doesn't work in that setting. So try to have those kind of things in mind. So, and that, as you can understand, like that, so we are doing practical on our square sheets. So this kind of things doesn't work in today's world. So in anything like that, just try to skip that. And nowadays there are a huge computational power is there. So any kind of approximation method which we are using, let's say first order approximation, they might get irrelevant because of we have the computational power. We don't need the crude approximation. So this kind of ideas is there. And obviously in anything, so whatever you are doing, don't just go through the whatever is written in the textbooks. Try to think a little bit practically what's out there. Does it actually make sense or not? And sometimes, so for people who are going into academia, one suggestion that I will give is try to do some industry internships in the summer breaks. Try to go to conferences and put your presentations out there. So this kind of interactive sessions will help you in two ways. One is to develop a way of communication. Communication is most important. Whatever you want to do in life, you have to convince people that yeah, I am good at it, and you can rely on me. And this is the communication is most important. Second is whatever you are doing, you definitely have to communicate it back, but you should have some relevant structure in mind. So for example, as Souvik is saying, if you let's say you are industry job search and you haven't done any internships, then it's good time to start doing some internships. And for people who are going abroad, it's a way of a good pocket money also. Yeah, it's a way of a good pocket money, because I have seen people. So in the 9 months.
Are you talking about freelancing?
Yeah, that I'm coming on. But what I was saying is, for people who are going abroad, what happens is that the stipend they are getting in 9 months in PhD, in the 3 months in industry, they are getting a similar like a very high stipend from industry, and that's a good thing. So coming out Susmita's point, freelancing, that's a very important thing.
So my question was a bit different. The question I wanted to convey, it was that let's assume that I don't do a PhD, but I will be sticking to the industry field. Let's assume.
Okay.
But right now I will be joining as a freshers. But in the meantime, after some years, I will expect that my position should be a little higher. I should get more in the higher post. So how much far in the hierarchy can I go without doing a PhD? So how much is possible?
So here, if you join industry, PhD is not a necessity. Sometimes master helps. PhD is a necessity if you are going for a research position. So for example, a research scientist or something like that. But as part of the hierarchy is convinced, if you see the CEOs, some of them does have PhDs, but most people are from MBA or this kind of business background. So what is needed is leadership skills. This is one category of people. Another category of people is coming from startup world. So sometimes what happens is that you open a startup, after 3-4 years, it gets some funding, something like that. Let's say it gets acquired by some firm. Then you'll get directly in some like chief business officer or some post like that. So my point is that for going up in industry hierarchy, PhD is not necessary. PhD could be necessary if you are interested in let's say if you want to work in Google Brain or Facebook AI, those kind of very high intensity teams who are working at the forefront of research. So I have a friend, Moni. He's actually doing PhD from US, and he is working in Facebook AI now. So for those kind of things, you need that kind of PhD exposure. And if you want to join a research group like that, you have to have that kind of exposure. But if you are interested in going up the corporate hierarchy, then PhD is not relevant. But what is relevant is learning how a business works. Try to have some understanding of, so any business is, what is the fundamental thing of business? The fundamental thing of business is a good product or service and the sales. So customer is more important than you. This is fundamentally different from how research works. In academia, if your work is good, then that's enough. But in industry, it doesn't work like that. in industry, you might have a very sophisticated model which doesn't add any value to the customer. But another person come up and run a basic linear regression model, which is actually very valuable to the customer because of the use case. And because maybe he can explain it to him. Maybe he can give some insights which can be extracted. So how much value you are adding to the end customer, that's very important. So you have to keep that in mind. And regarding skill sets, I'll definitely say if you have some interest in going up in corporate ladder, try to have some understanding of how sales and marketing works. This is very important. Secondly, finance, how finance works. Thirdly, if you want to join in startup world, try to understand how this funding things works. So venture capital, private equity, not deep concepts, but basic understanding. You can just go through, let's say, Wall Street Journal or Times. Sometimes, not every time, little bit. You can read Your Story, this kind of publications. Just have, there's a great YouTube channel called Backstage with Millionaires. You can go through them and how these things are getting affected, how these things are changing, how is globalization affecting, how is policy affecting everything. So try to have this kind of understanding. That is definitely very helpful if you want to go up in the ladder. So business is all about solving problems, optimizing processes. Have some idea about what are the problems in our daily life. Can you do anything to solve them? And this is as simple as that. It doesn't have to be very complicated. And yeah, if you want to do, I'll give you my own example. So after getting into IIT, I was in so many people got in touch with me for all these IIT problems. Like I couldn't solve this jam problem, try to help me and this kind of stuff. So at some point of time, I thought that it's not possible for me to solve everyone's problems. So let's make a platform where I can, so they can help yourselves. And so that's how that jam group started. And many of you have helped me a lot for that. So thanks. So here the idea is that you don't have infinite amount of time. If you can build a vehicle, if you can build a structure which can work by themselves, where you are not needed, that's the basic idea of business. A founder, he is not the CEO in most cases. Like there are some exceptions. In most cases, the people in the hierarchy, the founder is separate from that. He's just making sure everything is working well. So he only has to intervene in case of an urgency. Otherwise, it's working really well. And the second thing in business is it's very unpredictable. You don't know what would happen. So this is similar to the like government job versus industry job. Every day, my parents are also telling me like these are very dangerous times. Go for a government job. Go for ISS. And so these things will be there. But I think this is the age of experimentation. You have the exposure to take risks. And if you want exponential return, you have to take exponential risks. But before directly jumping into that, it's good to have some kind of backup. So maybe try to learn the processes in industry or in academia for a little bit. But definitely, I think academia is going to change a lot because of the thing that nowadays it's the way this kind of systems work, the funding worked, it's going to change, and it's going to be a lot more practical based on use cases. And in the government also, I believe that in upcoming years, the government will try to welcome people from industry who are actually efficient. So what happens is that
Nandita,
yeah.
Actually, Anand is waiting in the queue.
Okay,
Can you
let me
please join?
yeah. Yes, sorry Anand for keeping you waiting. So I think that got disconnected and that coming. So next time we will try to do everything like automated joining. That's much. Yeah. So yeah, hey Anand, welcome back. So yeah, anything else? Let's go on. Yes.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Sure. Yeah, please go on.
So if I restrict only data science profile, like the stats people, only the stats people.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your idea that these lockdown, how much it will affect or how much it will badly affect the role of data science profile and in near future? And already we have seen that there are many job cuts and salary goes down. Everything's that going on in US and also in India also. So what's your idea if I restrict only to data science profile?
Yeah, sure. So this is a very relevant question nowadays, and the most important thing is data science. So there are two type of firms. Some firms are actually data science is a product. So for example, here we are working on healthcare products. So our core expertise is in the data science thing. So then if you are working in such a firm, it could be service firm, it could be product firm, but if that is a part of your like any product or any service, then probably you are safe. But if it's a addition, value addition, so it's not in the core part, but it's an addition, then you could be in trouble. But how can you fight against these things? So first thing to keep in mind, don't have only one skill. Try to have, so there's an idea of T-shaped individual. So you will have a breadth of a wide variety of skills and a depth in some skills. So this idea should be there. So, and the most interesting things happens between the intersection of skills. What are the skills that are going to be relevant in the future? One is digital marketing. It's going to be very important because everything, like everyone is interacting with others in a digital way. So any kind of business, they have to put themselves out there in a digital. So anytime you are watching Facebook, you are watching YouTube, LinkedIn, you'll be seeing these ads. What we do is that we just skip the ad, but try to pay some attention. Like what is it they are putting out actually? Some ads get us very, like they make us very emotional. We want to watch the ads. Some ads are very irritating. Try to pay attention to that. What is the thing that is actually differentiating between these two ads? Try to have an idea of that. Digital marketing is very important skill. Secondly, content creation. So whenever you are writing something, you are putting something in paper, your thought process is actually getting distilled, because that's the way our mind works. So whenever you have some idea, try to put it somewhere. You don't have to publish it necessarily, but you can just keep it. Like you can keep a Google Doc. So I maintain a Google Doc where whenever I have some idea, I just put it out there. So these just two things. It just clears out the mind, and also you can go back to it later. So yeah, these are some skills. Nextly, very important skill is learn a little bit of software engineering. What I mean by that is you are building some models, but they have to be deployed. And nowadays in firms, this will happen is that a firm, so people who are working on MNC, it's not applicable to them, but people who are working in startups, or even in MNC, if there's a small team, it might happening on that. So if there are two data scientists, one guy knows data science really well, but he can't implement them in software. But there could be another guy who knows data science, but he can also build the tools to make those things work. So for example, if you have a regression model, you can make an online tool by which I as a owner or I as a manager, if I give some inputs, that tool will give me the output. So if you can make that, obviously if I have to make a job cut, I'll try to keep you and I'll let the other person go away. So try to have this kind of complementary skills. Definitely software engineering is a very important skill. Try to have some idea on that. Then comes cloud technologies. Nowadays, a lot of stuff is happening in cloud. AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. Try to have some idea of one or two of that. Third comes this version control, Git. This is extremely important. Git is an extremely important skill. Then comes there's a thing called Docker, Kubernetes, this kind of stuff. So DevOps.
What was that? What did you say?
So regarding the last line or?
Last line.
Yeah. So what I mean is, whatever you are doing in data science, try to understand what are the technologies that will be helpful to implement that in the real world scenario, and try to learn that. That will actually make you more efficient, and so Abhishek is raising hand. Okay, I'll go on. Just feel free to stop me anytime. No problem. So as I was saying, Git is a very important skill. Version control. So whenever you are building a software, so let's say on the same software, 4 people are working. So if I push something bad, then all the code might break. So what we do is we create different versions of the same code, and finally after all the changes are done, we merge that back into the code, and we can go back to the previous version. So this Git is a very helpful technology. Try to learn about that. Then comes learning a little bit of software engineering, like building tools around that. So there are, let's say, Arshiny. Arshiny is an excellent thing where you can make an app out of the structure. Similarly, there are other things also. So for example, so like any kind of things, whatever you are doing, Plotly Dash is a really excellent example on that. So it works on our Python and similar environments.
What?
So,
Plotly,
yeah, dash by Plotly. Just you can Google that. Those are very like just these are very popular things. And so the point is that don't just get very focused on one thing. Try to understand how that will be implemented and try to learn the technologies around that. And then there is I told about the cloud technologies like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, this kind of things. So in Coursera and this kind of in the places like Coursera and there are a lot of free resources available. And I have put some posts on LinkedIn regarding how to get some free certificates on these kind of things. You can just go or just search in Google. There will be hundreds of articles on that. So the point is that if you want to make sure that you are in demand, you don't have control over the job market, but you can make sure that you have the skill set so that you are the last one to get fired. But then we don't have any control. I might get fired tomorrow if the company doesn't have the kind of balance to support it. And that's an unfortunate scenario, but that's what today is happening, because if a business doesn't have profit, it doesn't matter about your skill set. It matters about if I don't have any money as a founder, how can I afford you? It doesn't matter if you are the best statistician in the world. So try to have the skill sets handy, and then comes this freelancing thing. So already many of you are doing Chegg. Are anyone doing anything else in freelancing or knows about that? Like any kind of way freelancing works on anything?
Nandita, hello.
Yeah.
Nandita.
Hello. Yeah.
I'm doing Bartleby actually.
What is that?
You know about Bartleby?
So can you please explain talk a little bit about that?
It's a platform which pay you for solving statistics and probability based question on using Word and math type software. And after successful acceptation of question, you will pay it at every 15th of every month.
That's awesome.
That's the basic idea of Bartleby.
Thanks a lot, Anmol. Yeah. So as you can see, people are doing this kind of stuff, and this helps in multiple ways. First of all, this is kind of an insurance which you can fall back to. Secondly, you will learn new skills also. So whenever you are using that platform, you are using some softwares, you are going to the sales process, you are going to the interview process. So that's actually helping you. And then thirdly, whenever, let's say, I saw that while doing Chegg also, when I am solving problems from something that some US students are. Sushmita, I think you should.
Sushmita, mute.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, this things happens. Yeah. So whenever you will be, so when you guys have, so for example, I was coming from Narendrapur and then IIT Kanpur. There was a set type of concept, set type of problems that I faced, but there are some other type of issues out there in the world, which you will only face if you, let's say, if you are trying to solve a problem from a different board, from a different country. They are doing things in a different way. They're using a different software. You might have to learn that a little bit. And don't think that I don't know this software, so what would I do? It's not like that. Just Google it. Go through that. It will take some 1-2 hours, and be flexible. Don't stuck to one technology. Technology doesn't matter. Technology come and go. Just try to learn the concepts, what's happening. And yeah, that I think that answers you, Arijit. Thanks. Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, sure. So there are some earlier questions. Probably I can go through them also. Yeah. So yeah, anything else anyone wants to discuss? Please feel free to talk about that. Yeah. So Ankita has asked about off-campus job search. Yeah. So off-campus job search. Yeah. I should definitely cover that. First of all, you have to remember that whenever you are applying online, so the base response rate is like some few percent. So if you send 100 applications, you might hear back in some 10 cases. So don't get disheartened by that no, my profile is not that good, because that's the base rate. So you have to apply in thousands if you want to hear back 100 times. So you have to keep that in mind. Secondly, whenever you are just applying online, try to follow up with real people in LinkedIn, in your network. Try to reach out to seniors, ask them if there is any vacancy, search in LinkedIn, do the work, go to Google, search it, apply. And yeah, so you have to keep applying. Don't lose hope. Don't think that my profile is bad. And if somewhere you get rejected even after the interviews, try to understand where you went wrong. Ask for the feedback. Ask them like, what could I have done better? And definitely have some mock interview practices. And regarding having an attractive profile, a very important thing is, whenever you are making your resume, make it brief, precise. No one is going to take 20 minutes reading your resume. Try to put everything in one page, very consistent, concise, and have some interesting things. And if you haven't done any interesting projects, try to go into GitHub and do these things. And so one thing regarding these things, data science articles, stuffs like that, I have some collaboration ideas in mind. So if anyone wants to collaborate on writing any data science articles with me, what you can do is that just first go through any places like Analytics Vidya, let's say Analytics India magazine, Towards Data Science, these kind of data science publications, and go how a article works. For example, all you need to know about SVM, or machine learning ideas in a nutshell, or some specific projects. So if you have done a project in IITK, let's say, you can try to make a blog post on that. For example, whenever we are doing the reports, those are not actually getting anywhere. We are just doing the projects, we are just putting that in resume, that's it. But if you can probably explain the project in a nice way, you can put the codes in GitHub. You can describe, like, we started with this, some description, snapshot, codes, link to this, link to that. That's a very excellent way to put yourself out there. So I am in touch with some of the editors, and I am an author in the Analytics Vidya Medium publication also. So if anyone wants to do that, so what I can do is, you can probably write an article at a very detailed. So the main idea is to be not to write too many average articles, but one or two really good articles, so that you can link to that in the resume, and anyone who goes to that, they are very impressed. Wow, this guy knows something. So if you can do that, you can probably send me the draft, and I can also work on that, and we'll try to publish it in somewhere. And if you can put in your resume that I have published an article in good publication, that definitely carries some weight. So yeah, and so I will also share a very interesting experience. So that Himadri and me, we went through some of the notes, and he was actually looking for this internship opportunity. So I thought of writing a post on behalf of him, and that post we wrote, that got some 45,000 views. And so definitely there were some people who would be interested, but then he got already an internship through campusing, so it was not needed. So when you are putting yourself out there, even if that kind of exposure that you get, that might not be needed in your case, but anyway that is helpful. And this kind of stuff will definitely be like any discussion you have even in your job, or even in the PhDs. If you say that, no, I have written for this publication, then people actually take you seriously. So these kind of things matter a lot. Like, don't just learn, but try to put something, create something. You can just start putting articles on LinkedIn and this kind of thing, but definitely if anyone wants to do that, so what you need to do is create a really good article. Let's say on any Google Doc, you can do it. You can just create the article on a Google Doc and share it with me. You can also publish in the Medium and share it with me. So basically after creating the draft, you can share it. Or so these publications, what they want is, they want some original thing, like nothing that you are not taking inspiration from anywhere, but whenever you are taking some inspiration from somewhere, just link to that this portion has been so link to that. So that's the main thing. Like, you don't have to be 100% original, but whichever you are borrowing, just link that this is taken from this and that. So yeah, we can work on that. This is a good idea. And other than that, on off-campus job search, most important thing is, try to have some referral if possible through some people. If not, try to reach out to the recruiters. If not, even the hiring managers. This is the most important thing you have to. And how can you start a message? You can just so if you see an opening, you can just politely ask that, yeah, I saw that opening, and I'm really impressed about what you are also doing, and so would you please be able to refer me? So just things like that. And so this is one way, but obviously the success rate would be low. The better way is to this, like creating something really valuable online so that people actually reaches out to you. And yeah, that actually works, as I've seen. Ankita, do you want to add something to that?
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Then Ishita also asked about the current situation of the companies. So yeah, definitely the situation is it's a bit messed up, and we don't know what would happen. No one knows what would happen, but definitely try to have this kind of skill set very fresh. And so the way off-campus offsite works is there are a lot of processes, a lot of steps. It's not like in a day all these interviews will happen. And so you have to be patient, you have to keep applying. So that's the most important thing. Yeah. Then Anmol asked.
I had a question.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I had a question regarding the work culture in the corporate sector.
Yeah.
So suppose I am working in some XYZ company. So how can I get some idea, or can I get some indication that whether this company is good for me, or whether there is a chance for myself to improvement within this company, or I don't have any future in this company? What are the indicators that can give me some idea about this?
Sure.
What should I look for while working?
So
hello,
first thing.
Nandita.
Yeah.
I add something in Sovic question. I hear a lot about corporate politics. So can you elaborate what is this?
Yeah.
And how
sure.
one can?
Yeah. It's a yeah. So yeah. So firstly, so Shobik, to answer your question, definitely you have to keep in mind is every farm. So any farm that is using analytics, they have a certain workflows. They will be using certain technologies. You have to make sure those are actually relevant in nowadays world. So for example, there could be some technologies which are, let's say, SPSS and this kind of softwares. These are not actually getting that much popular nowadays because those are not open source, and so that's getting limited. So but if your farm is using Python or R, those are the future. And then let's say if your farm is using cloud technologies, try to move into this kind of teams. You can ask. So if you are not happy with the work, you can ask the manager. You have to communicate that. And regarding this kind of communication in corporate, the major thing is that if you are giving some feedback, try to have a trace. So that you can come back later and say, see, I did tell you that. So this is the thing. And the next thing is regarding politics. So the thing is that nowadays companies are getting very efficient. So like this side of you don't have, if you are efficient, if you can do the work, then that's sufficient. But the important thing is that you have to be visible. So if you do the work, but if you're, let's say if you're senior or manager, he takes all the credit, then that's a bad thing. So you have to make sure whatever you're doing, you are doing that's communicated to the leadership level. So try to have discussions with the people, try to have discussions with different team. That's it. I don't think if you are efficient, you don't have to engage in any kind of dirty politics. That's not needed. But what is needed is the visibility. And definitely in the meetings, you have to be audible. You have to ask the questions. Don't just stay there and be aloof, but speak up, as you guys are also doing. You guys are interacting in this session. These things are important. So yeah, and if you are the one who is asking the first question in every meeting, then you definitely will get noticed. And people will say, no, you are doing a politics, you are getting a promotion. But that thing doesn't matter. But having said that, it's not only about you, but also the firms. So for example, nowadays for coronavirus, this hospitalism, tourism, this kind of industry is heavily affected. So if you think that that's going to cause you trouble, so try to have some insight that are your job is in trouble. If it is, try to start job searching. That you definitely have to have some talk with the seniors. You might not have the idea about the industry, so then talk with the seniors. I also don't have that much idea about a lot of industries because I'm also starting out. So just talk with our seniors. There are a lot of people. Reach out to them. People are actually helpful. Sometimes they may not. So when you ask someone some question, they may not have. They may not reply. So that doesn't mean that he or she is ignoring you. Maybe they are busy. Maybe they are stuck with other stuff. So it's not that they are ignoring you, but just keep asking and keep asking other people. You'll definitely get responses. Yeah, stay in touch. And regarding the politics, yeah, that's it. Like nothing fancy, nothing. But yeah, definitely try to understand how these things work. So watch TV series like Suits, watch things like Billions. This kind of try to understand how this mechanism works. Try to understand how, like, whatever you are doing, are you actually getting the visibility? Are you actually so two things. Firstly, you have to be competent. That's very important. So if you're writing a buggy code base, that's gonna make everyone's life very difficult. So and nowadays companies are getting, like, earlier what happened is that a person would stay in the company for his whole lifetime and would retire in the same firm. Nowadays that's not happening. People are changing jobs, so that thing doesn't matter that much, like how much you're good at politics and how much you're, this thing doesn't matter. But definitely if you are sharing your knowledge, if you are learning, and if you are creating some valuable content, then people do notice you. And yeah, that's actually branding and nothing else. But always try to keep in mind to adding value to our others' lives. For example, if you have done some Coursera courses, you can put the certificate. That's good. But then it's much better to create a post saying whatever you learned from that. What are the top 10 learnings? What is the thing that the users can learn from? So things like that. Don't just say I own this prize. Try to explain what are the steps you took that actually enabled you to win this prize. These kind of things. Like, you have to be a little bit more trying to add value to our others' lives. Try to share your experiences. Everyone's experiences are valuable, and everyone has a different, unique perspective. Yeah. So I think that's something. Yeah. Anything else? Please go on. One thing, Anand asks about the projects you should work on and the skills you should develop. So definitely, other than data science, so in data science, start about learning, let's say, regression, multiple linear regression, logistic regression, lasso, ridge, and then some decision tree, then decision tree.
Nandita,
yeah.
I have something to add to Anand's questions.
Yeah.
Something to add to the
please
question.
Go on.
He's saying about the what kind of projects. So when usually what happens when we are, suppose we are doing some course project.
Yeah.
So when we look for some course project, what we get is that some work has already been done on some data set.
Yeah.
And then we try to put something extra on that data set.
Yeah.
We take something from some inspiration from those works and try to at least try to merge 2 or 3 works, or try to do something extra if possible. What you are trying to say a little bit earlier, that try to do some authentic, original kind of work. So those kind of projects are very, very hard to find online, and I have very tough time finding those kind of projects, and usually I end up doing some kind of those projects that some work has been done, and I merge 2 or 3 projects and do some variations of that. So what are is there any advantage of those things,
sure.
How to look for those unique kind of projects?
I got your point. So 2 things here. First thing is, obviously it's very hard to do totally unique things, and if you do that, that's commendable. But one thing you have to keep in mind is, even if your project is not really unique, you could have some kind of, so for example, everyone is doing a project on Titanic dataset. You might find a different dataset which is similar to that, and you might build, the code base might be similar, but the interpretations, the results, those might be massively different. So try to do something unique, like try to go deeper. Everyone is doing the same project, don't just copy paste that. Understand what's going on in that project. Start with a different dataset, new dataset. Then the workflow will be different. This is something. Secondly, even if you are not getting good results, you can uniquely think about different ways. So I'll give you some examples. So what everyone is doing is, after running 10 algorithms, we are getting good results with 2 algorithms, and we are just talking about those algorithms. You might want to say, no, I will talk about the algorithm which performed worst in this case. And I will explain why did this algorithm work this badly. And I'll try to make the reader understand that at which step the algorithm failed. No one is writing this kind of post. So go write a post on that. So for example, how logistic regression failed on this data set. That will be unique, right? So just think about this kind of ideas, like something unique. This is just an idea of my head. You can think of other things, like for example, no one is, so people are doing image classification, digit classification. You might want to do that in your own mother tongue, which no one else is doing. Maybe something unique. Maybe do something on Sanskrit. Maybe like lot of things are there. So just go to Project Gutenberg and download a old script. Try to do some sentiment analysis work on that, which no one else is doing. So everyone else is doing something. Take the core idea, take the concepts, and apply that to a different setting, different scenario. Then interesting things will happen. This is one way. Second way is, if something is already done, don't redo it, don't reinvent the wheel. Try to work after that. You can just start with that project that he has done this, just link to that. After that, you start building. So this is better than copying his project, adding something and not attributing to him. So anything you are taking some inspiration from, you can build upon that. So any software we see, any kind of things like Facebook, Google, they are adding features with time. You can think of it like that. There's an existing project, you can add some cool features around that. For example, if I have built an excellent ML model, you might want to say that I can build an online tool based on that ML model, so that maybe I had built the data on previous thing. You might want to build a tool which will proactively pull the data from internet. You have to learn some web scraping for that and give the live results. So for example, if there is a stock market prediction someone has done, you might want to build a tool that will take that concepts, but that will apply on the live data from today's market. So that's useful, right? And that's a layer up on that. So you are building after that. So that's better than doing the same thing in a different way and writing the same thing. It's always better to add something new. And if you don't have any new ideas, try to merge these ideas. Or even in the worst case scenario, if you don't think of any ideas, you can just explain it in a simple way. There are a lot of very complicated things that are not explained in a simple way. You can take a project like, let's say, I'll try to make you understand how a very complex project works and make a really detailed documentation. Maybe even think of it in this way. Like, there are hundreds of computer science, thousands of computer science tutorials available out there, but there are no good statistics tutorials. They are there, but not in scale. So we can think of creating something like that. So try to build something which might be valuable. And regarding the visibility, regarding the popularity, the most important thing is try to make it interesting. Add some designs, add some flyers, try to learn how Photoshop works. Canva is a good way. Canva is a design tool. Oh, I just remembered a very important thing. This IITK email ID that will expire after some 6-7 months after you pass out. So if you have any very important documents, if you important things that you want to preserve, try to store that, try to save that in other mail IDs. And also there's many things like GitHub Student Developers Pack. So there you get a lot of benefits like free hosting, Canva subscription, free Amazon Cloud, some $1,000 credit, things like that. So whichever these kind of things you want to use, for that you will need the IITK mail ID, as Souvik will also know today for the Zoom account we used. So those type of things, try to finish these things up before your IITK mail ID expiration is over. So there are some services that are available. So for example, in Zoom, what happened is in a normal account, after 40 minutes, they will cut the call. But in a advanced level, so premium level account, it's not like that. And having the IITK mail ID actually serves like that. So this is something. Yeah, I think so. These are some of the, and then comes the other skills. So as I was saying, I lost track. So in data science, regression, and then decision tree. Try to learn about how decision tree, bagging, boosting, gradient boosting, this kind of algorithm works, for the differences. Then come SVM. Then comes other, let's say, in any kind of unsupervised learning techniques like PCA or pincer computer analysis or clustering analysis. And then comes the different email methods and the deep learning methods. Try to have an understanding of all of them. You don't have to go deep in everything, but try to have some brief idea and just merge them. And yeah, that's it. So yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah, that was the projects and skill to develop. Regarding skill, other than data science skills, there are some other really interesting skills. For example, digital marketing. Digital marketing is very important skill. Try to understand how these things work, how a sales funnel is working, how are people selling, and what are people actually doing who are going viral, and this kind of stuff. How a business works. What is sales and marketing? How a cold calling works. How a cold emailing works. Go out there, learn, experience stuff. Learn how to talk to a stranger. It's very nerve-wracking. It's very hard. It's very difficult how to approach someone. Even in online, offline it's really difficult, but at least in online you're safe. No one is like, yeah, you can play around that a little bit, and no one is going to know. Like if I send someone 10 messages and he or she doesn't reply, no one is going to know about that. So it's okay. Like I'm safe. But so in public place you might get embarrassed, but in online that thing is not there. So yeah, I think that thing. Then writing, definitely writing, copywriting, little bit of web development. And for freelancing, you can go to any places like Upwork, freelancer.com, and try to learn this stuff. And definitely we can regarding the statistics curriculum, we can think of creating any such kind of interesting thing. And I'll let you know if I think of any new ideas. But definitely, yeah, mostly these are the things. One interesting question Susmita asked is, what are you doing to be an entrepreneur? Susmita, do you want to explain that question? I don't think she's going to.
Do I want to what?
So you asked that what are you doing to be an entrepreneur? So any.
So what are you asking me?
Like any comments on that? Like any specifics? I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know. I know that you are reading books and you are going to.
So yeah, mostly see, these are the things. First, develop the skill sets. These are the skill sets as I talked about, and the two most important things. One is sales. Try to read good books. Books like, let's say, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, or Blitzscaling by Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn. And try to watch the TV series. Try to see things like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and try to understand how business works and these terminologies. And slowly develop your skill. Don't just jump into something. Try to develop some skill set, and then you can slowly go on that. So yeah, that might be a long-term plan, but for now, definitely I'm learning about this stuff. I'm building skills. I'm talking to new people. Try to add value towards other people's lives. That's definitely going to be very helpful. And yeah, people appreciate when you share knowledge and you meet a lot of really interesting people. Be humble, be hardworking, and yeah, that's it. Those are the baby steps, and going forward, definitely. If anyone has a specific inclination towards this thing, just let me know. I'll share the resources, the books, podcasts that I follow about. I'll definitely do that. Yeah. I think yeah. Shovik, you asked a lot of questions. I think I answered some of them, and yeah, I think we are good to go. Yeah, so thanks a lot everyone for joining. 1.5 hours. That's a long time. If anything else, we can discuss that. Otherwise, I'll be signing off. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you,
Nandita. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you, Nandita. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Great show.
Yeah, bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm ending the meeting.